Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, where we're taking a mystical journey through the history of the universe, one yuga at a time, one millennium at a time, and expanding our consciousness along the way until we finally reach Braj, 10th canto, and Mathura and Dwarka and all of Krishna's pastimes on the earth. In the meantime, we're on the 8th canto. We'd like to introduce into our community a family of hearers, both here and out in cyberspace. Welcome to all of you also out in cyberspace. Rasiko Shiromani Prabhu has come from Denver to help us with the audiobook recording and editing. So now we have a solid team, and we're looking forward to more of that. Okay, Srila Sanatana Goswami compiled a wonderful glorification of the Srimad-Bhagavatam called the Srimad-Bhagavatam Mihima Stotram. He put it into Sri Krishna Lila Stava, which is a book of 108 obeisances, short book, about 430 verses or something like that, which offered 108 obeisances to the Lord's Vrindavan Leela, the pastimes of the Lord in Vrindavan. And this is the second to the last obeisance was to the Srimad Bhagavatam, which gave us these Leelas. Okay? Sanatana Goswami says, Sarva Shastabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kaldidwan Duditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who is supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madikabando Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Man Nistadaka Madbhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin atini chochatakara hanamunchakadachin mam premnarit kantayospuda. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Mother Aditi was very unhappy because her sons got kicked out of the heavenly planet by Bali Maharaj. And therefore she went to her husband, Kashyapa Muni, the father of both the demons and the demigods, to get his help to rectify the situation. And he gave her a vrata, called the Payo-vrata. And we're in the middle now of the prayers that she has to offer every day while she's doing this worship, and just drinking milk. luckily anyway, everybody knows what we're talking about. Okay, here we go. Text beginning with text 35. My Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who were dressed in yellow garments, whose bodily hue resembles the Marakata gem, and to have full control over the goddess of fortune. O my Lord Keshava, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Text 36. O most exalted and worshipable Lord, best of those who bestow benediction, you can fulfill the desires of everyone, and therefore those who are sober for their own welfare worship the dust of your lotus feet. Text 37. All the demigods, as well as the goddess of fortune, engage in the service of his lotus feet. Indeed, they respect the fragrance of those lotus feet. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead be pleased with me. Text 38. Kashyapa Muni continued, by chanting all these mantras, welcoming the Supreme Personality of Godhead with faith and devotion, and offering him items of worship such as Padya and Arghya, one should worship Keshava, Rishikesha, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 39. In the beginning, the devotee should chant the Dwadashakshara mantra and offer flower garlands, incense, and so on. After worshipping the Lord in this way, one should bathe the Lord with milk and dress him with proper garments, a sacred thread, and ornaments. After offering water to wash the Lord's feet, one should again worship the Lord with fragrant flowers, incense, and other paraphernalia. Purport. The Dwadashakshara mantra is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. While worshipping the deity, one should ring a bell with his left hand and offer Padya, Arghya, Vastra, Gandha, Mala, Adharna, Bhushana, and so forth. Abharana, Bhushana, and so on. In this way, one should bathe the Lord with milk, dress him, and again worship him with all paraphernalia. Text 40. If one can afford to, one should offer the deity fine rice boiled in milk with clarified butter and molasses. While chanting the same original mantra, one should offer all this to the fire. Text 41. One should offer all the prasad to a Vaishnava and offer some of the prasad and then take some oneself. One should offer all the prasada to a Vaishnava or offer him some of the prasada and then take some oneself. After this, one should offer the deity Achman and then Bidalnath and then again worship the Lord. Text 42. Thereafter, one should silently murmur the mantra 108 times and offer prayers to the Lord for his glorification. Then one should circumambulate the Lord and finally, with great delight and satisfaction, offer obeisances, falling straight like a rod, dandavat. Text 43. After touching to one's head all the flowers and water offered to the deity, one should throw them into a sacred place. Then one should feed at least 2 brahmanas with sweet rice. Texts 44 and 45. One should perfectly honor the respectable brahmanas one is fed, and then after taking their permission, one should take prasad with his friends and relatives. For that night, one should observe strict celibacy, and the next morning, after bathing again, with purity and attention, one should bathe the deity of Vishnu with milk and worship him according to the methods formally stated in detail. Text 46. Worshipping Lord Vishnu with great faith and devotion and living only by drinking milk, one should follow this vow. One should also offer oblations to the fire and feed the brahmanas, as mentioned before. 47. In this way, until 12 days have passed, one should observe this Payo-vrata, worshipping the Lord every day, executing the routine duties, performing sacrifices, and feeding the brahmanas. Text 48. From Pratipat until the 13th day of the next bright moon, Shukla Trayodashi, one should observe complete celibacy, sleep on the floor, bathe 3 times a day, and thus execute the vow. Text 49. During this period, one should not unnecessarily talk of material subjects or topics of sense gratification. One should be completely free from envy of all living entities, and one should be pure and a pure and simple devotee of Lord Vasudeva. Text 50. Thereafter, following the directions of the Shastra, with help from brahmanas who know the Shastra, on the 13th day of the moon, one should bathe Lord Vishnu with 5 substances: milk, yogurt, ghee, sugar, and honey. Text 51, 52. Giving up the miserly habit of not spending money, one should arrange for the gorgeous worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is situated in the heart of every living entity. With great attention, one must prepare an oblation of grains boiled in ghee and milk, and must chant the Purusha Sukta mantra. The offerings of food should be of varieties of tastes. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 53. One should satisfy the spiritual master, Acharya, who is very learned in Vedic literature, and should satisfy his assistant priests, known as Hota, Udgata, Advaryu, and Brahma. One should please them by offering them clothing, ornaments, and cows. This is the ceremony called Vishnu Aradhana, or worship of Lord Vishnu. Text 54. O most auspicious lady, one should perform all these ceremonies under the direction of learned acharyas, and should satisfy them and their priests. By distributing prasad, one should also satisfy the brahmanas and others who have assembled. Text 55. One should satisfy the spiritual master and assistant priests by giving them cloth, ornaments, cows, and also some monetary contribution. And by distributing prasad, one should satisfy everyone assembled, including even the lowest of men, the chandalas, eaters of dog flesh. Purport. In the Vedic system, prasad is distributed, as recommended here, without discrimination as to who may take the prasad. Regardless of whether one be a brahmana, shudra, vaishya, kshatriya, or even the lowest of men, a chandala, he should be welcome to take prasad. However, when the chandalas, the lower class or poorer class, are taking prasad, this does not mean that they have become Narayana or Vishnu. Narayana is situated in everyone's heart, but this does not mean Narayana is a chandala or poor man. The Mayavad philosophy of accepting a poor man as Narayana is the most envious and atheistic movement in Vedic culture. This mentality should be completely given up. Everyone should be given the opportunity to take prasad, but this does not mean that everyone has the right to become Narayana. Text 56. One should distribute Vishnu prasad to everyone, including the poor man, the blind man, the non-devotee, and the non-brahmana, knowing that Lord Vishnu is very pleased when everyone is sumptuously fed with Vishnu prasad. The performer of yajna should then take prasad with his friends and relatives. Text 57. Every day, from Pratipat to Trayodasi, one should continue the ceremony to the accompaniment of dancing, singing, the beating of a drum, the chanting of prayers, and all auspicious mantras, and recitation of Srimad-Bhagavatam. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 58. This is the religious ritualistic ceremony known as Payo-vrata, by which one may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I received this information from Brahma, my grandfather, and now I have described it to you in all details. Text 59. O most fortunate lady, establishing your mind in a good spirit, execute this process of Payo-vrata, and thus worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is inexhaustible. Text 60. This Payo-vrata is also known as Sarva Yajna. In other words, by performing this sacrifice, one can perform all other sacrifices automatically. This is also acknowledged to be the best of all ritualistic ceremonies. O gentle lady, it is the essence of all austerities, and it is the process of giving charity and pleasing the Supreme Controller. Purport. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param. This is a statement made by Lord Shiva to Parvati. Worshipping Lord Vishnu is the process of worship. And how Lord Vishnu is worshipped in this Payo-vrata ceremony has now been fully described. The ultimate goal of life is to please Lord Vishnu by Varnashrama Dharma. The Vedic principles of 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas are meant for worship of Vishnu. Vishnu aradyate panta nanyat tat toshakaranam. The Krishna consciousness movement is also Vishnu aradhanam, or worship of Lord Vishnu, according to the age. The Payo-vrata method of Vishnu aradhanam was enunciated long, long ago by Kashyapa Muni to his wife, Aditi, in the heavenly planets. And the same process is bona fide on earth even now. Especially for this age of Kali, the process accepted by the Krishna consciousness movement is to open hundreds and thousands of Vishnu temples, temples of Radha, Krishna, Jagannath, Balaram, Sitaram, Gauranitai, and so on. Performing prescribed worship in such temples of Vishnu and thus worshipping the Lord is as good as performing the Payo-vrata ceremony recommended here. The Payo-vrata ceremony is performed from the 1st to the 13th day of the bright 4th night of the moon. But in our Krishna consciousness movement, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in every temple according to a schedule of 24 hours of engagement in performing kirtan, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, offering palatable food to Lord Vishnu, and distributing this food to Vaishnavas and others. These are authorized activities, and if the members of the Krishna consciousness movement stick to these principles, they will achieve the same result one gains by observing the Payo-vrata ceremony. Thus, the essence of all auspicious activities, such as performing yajna, giving in charity, observing vratas, and undergoing austerities, is included in the Krishna consciousness movement. The members of this movement should immediately and sincerely follow the processes already recommended. Of course, sacrifice is meant to please Lord Vishnu. Yagyai sankirtana prayayar yajanti hi sumedasaha. In Kali Yuga, those who were intelligent performed the sankirtan yajna. One should follow this process conscientiously. Text 61. This is the best process for pleasing the transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Adhokshaja. It is the best of all regulative principles, the best austerity, the best process of giving charity, and the best process of sacrifice. Purport. The Supreme Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja ahang tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Unless one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his demand, no good result will come from any of his actions. Shall we repeat that? Okay. Oh, all right. Unless one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his demand, no good result will come from any of his actions. Dharmak sanushtitak pungsang vishwaksena katasuyaha notpadayat yadivitim shama eva hi kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 1:2-8. If one is not interested in satisfying Lord Vishnu, Vasudeva, all his so-called auspicious activities are fruitless. Mogasha moga karmano moga jnana vichetusaha. Because he is bewildered, he is baffled in his hopes, baffled in his activities, and baffled in his knowledge. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks, Napung shakam anapung shakain etya dinai katvam. One can equate the potent. One cannot equate the potent and the impotent. Among modern Mayavadis, it has become fashionable to say that whatever one does or whatever path one follows is all right. But these are all foolish statements. Here it is forcefully affirmed that this is the only method for success in life. Ishwarat tarpanam bina sarvam eva vipalam. Unless Lord Vishnu is satisfied, all of one's pious activities, ritualistic ceremonies, and yagyas are simply for show and have no value. Unfortunately, foolish people do not know the secret of success. Nate vidu swardagatim hi Vishnum. They do not know that real self-interest ends in pleasing Lord Vishnu. Text 62. Therefore, my dear gentle lady, follow this ritualistic vow, strictly observing the regulated principles. By this process, the Supreme Person will very soon be pleased with you and will satisfy all your desires. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 16th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Executing the Payo-vrata Process of Worship. It's wonderful, how Prabhupada set up our movement in such a way that every auspicious thing that is given in the Bhagavatam, it's all there, just in our daily activities, 365 days a year. So, why not? This was the answer to your question from yesterday about should I drink milk and do that 12-day vrata. We're doing it 365 days a year. Okay. Also, I read in the Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita just the other day, that just by chanting the Mahamantra, just by hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam properly, you can fulfill all the other processes of devotional service, just by doing that without offense. That's the key, that secret word, without offense. Okay, chapter 17. The Supreme Lord agrees to become Aditi's son. That's a pretty potent yajna. Okay. As explained in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being very pleased by the Payo-vrata ceremony performed by Aditi, appeared before her in full opulence. At her request, the Lord agreed to become her son. After Aditi performed the Payo-vrata ceremony for 12 continuous days, the Lord, who was certainly very pleased with her, appeared before her with 4 hands and dressed in yellow garments. As soon as Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead present before her, she immediately got up, and with great ecstatic love for the Lord, she fell to the ground to offer respectful obeisances. Aditi's throat was choked because of ecstatic feelings, and her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer suitable prayers to the Lord, she could not do anything, and thus she remained silent for some time. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, she offered her prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul of all living entities, was very pleased with her, and he agreed to become her son by incarnating as a plenary expansion. He was already pleased. Sarva, come here, please. Sarva, over here. Give us company, Tulsi Devi. That's the best chair for you. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. You look very spiffy. Aditi's throat was choked because of ecstatic feelings, and her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer suitable prayers to the Lord, she could not do anything, and thus she remained silent for some time. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, she offered her prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul of all living entities, was very pleased with her, and he agreed to become her son by incarnating as a plenary expansion. He was already pleased with Kashyapa Muni's austerities, and thus he agreed to become their son and maintain the demigods. After giving his word of honor to this effect, the Lord disappeared. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi engaged in the service of Kashyapa Muni, who could see by samadhi that the Lord was within him, and who thus placed his semen in the womb of Aditi. Lord Brahma, who is known as Hiranyagarbha, understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered Aditi's womb. Thus he offered prayers to the Lord. Text 1. Shukadev Goswami said, O king, after Aditi was thus advised by her husband, Kashyapa Muni, she strictly followed his instructions without laziness, and in this way performed the Payo-vrata ritualistic ceremony. Purport. For advancement in anything, especially in spiritual life, one must strictly follow the bona fide instructions of the teacher. Aditi did this. She strictly followed the instructions of her husband and guru. As confirmed in the Vedic injunctions, Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru. One should have complete faith in the guru who helps the disciple make progress in spiritual life. As soon as the disciple thinks independently, not caring for the instructions of the spiritual master, he is a failure. Yasya prasadan nagati katopi. Aditi very strictly followed the instructions of her husband and spiritual master, and thus she was successful. Text 2 and 3. With full, undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva. Thus she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payo-vrata. Purport. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Anyabilashita shunyam jnana karma jnanavritam anukulyana krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, Krishna, favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. This is called pure devotional service. One simply has to concentrate upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Krishna. Savai manak Krishna padada vindayo. Then the mind and senses will be controlled, and one can engage himself fully in the devotional service of the Lord. The devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Text 4. My dear King, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, dressed in yellow garments and bearing a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus in his 4 hands, then appeared before Aditi. Text 5. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead became visible to Aditi's eyes, Aditi was so overwhelmed by transcendental bliss that she at once stood up and then fell to the ground like a rod to offer the Lord her respectful obeisances. Text 6. Aditi stood silently with folded hands, unable to offer prayers to the Lord. Because of transcendental bliss, tears filled her eyes, and the hairs on her body stood on end. Because she could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, she felt ecstasy, and her body trembled. Text 7. O Maharaj Parikshit, the demigoddess Aditi then began offering her prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a faltering voice and with great love. She appeared as though drinking through her eyes the Supreme Lord, who is the husband of the Goddess of Fortune, the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, and the Master and Lord of the entire universe. Purport. After observing the Payo-vrata, Aditi was certain that the Lord had appeared before her as Ramapati, the husband of all good fortune, just to offer her sons all opulences. She had performed the yajna of Payo-vrata under the direction of her husband, Kashyapa, and therefore she thought of the Lord as Yajnapati. She was completely satisfied to see the Master and Lord of the entire universe come before her to fulfill her desire. Text 8. The goddess Aditi said, O Master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous person, whose name, when chanted, spreads all good fortune, O original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor, suffering, living entities, and you have appeared in order to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of those who observe vows and austerities, and it is He who bestows benedictions upon them. He is worshipable for the devotee throughout the devotee's life, for he never breaks his promises. Can I read that again? Mm-hmm. Sure? Oh, all right. He is worshipable for the devotee throughout the devotee's life, for he never breaks his promises. As he says in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kontiya pratijani hi nami bhakta pranashati. O son of Kunti, declare boldly that my devotee never perishes. The Lord is addressed here as Achyuta, the infallible, because he takes care of his devotees. Anyone inimical to the devotees is certainly vanquished by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is the source of the Ganges water, and therefore he is addressed here as Tirthapada, indicating that all the holy places are at his lotus feet, or that whatever he touches with his foot becomes a holy place. Bhagavad Gita, for example, begins with the words Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Because the Lord was present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it became a Dharma Kshetra, a place of pilgrimage. Therefore, the Pandavas, who were extremely religious, were assured of victory. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead displays his pastimes, such as Vrindavan or Dwarka, becomes a holy place. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is pleasing to the ear, and it expands good fortune to the audience who hears it chanted. Owing to the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi was fully assured that the troublesome condition created for her by the demons would now be ended. Text 9. My Lord, you are the all-pervading universal form, the fully independent creator, maintainer, and destroyer of this universe. Although you engage your energy in matter, you are always situated in your original form and never fall from that position. For your knowledge is infallible and always suitable to any situation. You will never be bewildered by illusion. O my Lord, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 2:117, it is said, Siddhanta Baliya Chittina Kara Alas, Iha Haite Krishna Lagi Suridamanas. Anyone trying to become fully Krishna conscious must know the Lord's glories as far as they are possible to understand. Here, Aditi hints at these glories. The universe is nothing but the external potency of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:4. Maya tatamidang sarvam. Whatever we see in this universe is but an expansion of the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as the sunshine and heat all over the universe are expansions of the sun. When one surrenders under the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he surpasses the influence of the illusory energy. For the Supreme Lord, being fully wise and being situated in the heart of everyone, especially in the heart of the devotee, gives one intelligence by which one is sure never to fall into illusion. Text 10. O Unlimited One, if your Lordship is satisfied, one can very easily obtain a lifetime as long as that of Lord Brahma, a body either in the upper, lower, or middle planetary systems, unlimited material opulence, religion, economic development, and satisfaction of the senses, full transcendental knowledge, and the 8 yogic perfections. What to speak of such petty achievements as conquering one's rival? Text 11. Shukadeva Goswami said, O King Parikshit, best of the Bharat dynasty, when the lotus-eyed Lord, the supersoul of all living entities, was thus worshipped by Aditi, he replied as follows. Text 12. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Mother of the demigods, I have already understood your long-cherished desires for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulences and driven from their residence by their enemies. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, and especially in the hearts of his devotees, is always ready to help devotees in adversity. Since he knows everything, he knows how things are to be adjusted, and he does the needful to relieve the sufferings of his devotee. Text 13. O Devi, O Goddess, I can understand that you want to regain your sons and be together with them to worship me after defeating the enemies in battle and retrieving your abode in opulences. Text 14. You want to see the wives of the demons lamenting for the death of their husbands. Whoa! When those demons, the enemies of your sons, are killed in battle by the demigods, of whom Indra is the chief. Text 15. You want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulence and live again on their heavenly planet as usual. Text 16. O mother of the demigods, in my opinion, almost all the chiefs of the demons are now unconquerable, for they are being protected by brahmanas, whom the Supreme Lord always favors. Thus, the use of power against them now will not at all be a source of happiness. Purport. When a person is favored by brahmanas and Vaishnavas, no one can defeat him. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not interfere when one is protected by a brahmana. It is said, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. The Lord's first inclination is to give all benedictions to the cows and brahmanas. Therefore, if brahmanas favor someone, the Lord does not interfere, nor can anyone interfere with the happiness of such a person. Text 17. Yet because I have been satisfied by the activities of your vow, O goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you, for worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives the desired result according to what one deserves. Shall I repeat that again? It's okay? Okay. Yet because I have been satisfied by the activities of your vow, O goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you, for worship of me never goes in vain, but certainly gives the desired result according to what one deserves. Text 18. So it's not a mechanical process. You have prayed to me and properly worshipped me by performing the great Payo-vrata ceremony for the sake of protecting your sons. Because of Kashyapa Muni's austerities, I shall agree to become your son and thus protect your other sons. Text 19. Always thinking of me as being situated within the body of your husband, Kashyapa, go worship your husband, who has been purified by his austerity. Text 20. O lady, even if someone inquires, you should not disclose this fact to anyone. That which is very confidential is successful if kept secret. That which is very confidential is successful if kept secret. Hare Krishna. Text 21. Shukadeva Goswami said, after speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead disappeared from that very spot. Aditi, having received the extremely valuable benediction that the Lord would appear as her son, considered herself very successful, and with great devotion she approached her husband. Text 22. Being situated in a meditational trance, Kashyapa Muni, whose vision is never mistaken, could see that a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered within him. Text 23. O king, as the wind promotes friction between two pieces of wood and thus gives rise to fire, Kashyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transferred his potency into the womb of Aditi. Purport. A forest fire begins when two pieces of wood rub against one another. being agitated by the wind. Actually, however, the fire belongs neither to the wood nor to the wind. It is always different from both. Similarly, here it is to be understood that the union of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi was not like the sexual intercourse of ordinary human beings. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do with the human secretions of sexual intercourse. He is always completely aloof from such material combinations. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samoham sarvabhuteshu, I am equal toward all living entities. Nonetheless, to protect the devotees and kill the demons who were a disturbing element, the Lord entered the womb of Aditi. Therefore, this is a transcendental pastime of the Lord. This should not be misunderstood. One should not think that the Lord became the son of Aditi the way an ordinary child is born because of sexual intercourse between man and woman. Here it may also be appropriate to explain, in these days of controversy, the origin of life. The life force of a living entity, the soul, is different from the ovum and semen of the human being. Although the conditioned soul has nothing to do with the reproductive cells of man and woman, he is placed into the proper situation because of his work. Karmana daiva netrena. Life is not, however, a product of two secretions, but it is independent of all material elements. As fully described in Bhagavad Gita, the living entity is not subject to any material reactions. He can neither be burnt nor by fire, cut by sharp weapons, moistened by water, nor dried by the air. He is completely different from the physical elements. But by a superior arrangement, he is put into these material elements. He is always aloof from material contact. Asango yayam purusha. But because he is placed in the material condition, he suffers the reactions of the material modes of nature. Purushak prakritiso hi bhunkte prakritijan gunan karanam gunasangasya sadasad yonijanmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Bhagavad Gita 3:13-22. Although the living entity is aloof from the material elements, he is put into material conditions, and thus he must suffer the reactions of material activities. 24. When Lord Brahma understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was now within the womb of Aditi, he began to offer prayers to the Lord by reciting transcendental names. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead exists everywhere. Andantadasta paramanu jayantadastam. Therefore, when one chants his transcendental names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is automatically pleased by such Sankirtan. It is not that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is absent. He is present there. And when a devotee utters the transcendental name, it is not a material sound. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is naturally pleased. A devotee knows that the Lord is present everywhere, and that one can please him simply by chanting his holy name. Text 25. Lord Brahma said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glories unto you, who were glorified by all, and whose activities are all uncommon. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, O Lord of the Transcendentalists, controller of the three modes of nature. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Text 26. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the all-pervading Lord Vishnu, who have entered the cores of the hearts of all living entities. All the three worlds reside within your navel, yet you are above the three worlds. Formerly you appeared as the son of Prishni. To you, the Supreme Creator, who are understood only through Vedic knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances. Text 27. O my Lord, you are the beginning, the manifestation of the ultimate dissolution of the three worlds, and you are celebrated in the Vedas as the reservoir of unlimited potencies, the Supreme Person. O my Lord, as waves attract branches and leaves that have fallen into deep water, you, the Supreme Eternal Time Factor, attract everything in this universe. Purport. The time factor is sometimes described as Kala Strota. Kala Strota, waves of time. Everything in this material world is within the time factor and is being carried away by waves of attraction, which represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 28. My Lord, you are the original generator of all living entities, stationary or moving, and you are also the generator of the Prajapatis. O my Lord, as a boat is the only hope for a person drowning in the water, you are the only shelter for the demigods who are now bereft of their heavenly position. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 17th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Supreme Lord Agrees to Become Aditi's Son. Another act in the Supreme Drama has unfolded, and we have heard it, and that can never be undone. It's in our hearts, and it's there, and the Lord is there, and the Lord has noted that we have heard it with devotion, and therefore it's there eternally. Hare Krishna. Okay, we're going to stop here. It's 7:35. Got a little late start, but still we should keep it to our schedule. My fault, we're starting late. So let's have our open mic time, an opportunity for all the sages in the room to relish the contemplation of what we've heard. Hare Krishna. Okay, Prana, you're on.
I liked a lot of things, or a lot of things stood out to me. In text 12 of chapter 17, the Lord's telling Aditi how he already knew her desires. And I really just like this purport Prabhupada wrote. It's only 2 sentences. About how the Lord's situated in everyone's heart, especially in the hearts of his devotees, and he's always ready to help devotees in adversity. Since he knows everything, he knows how things are to be adjusted, and he does the needful to relieve the suffering of his devotee. And I like this because it's just a very comforting thought that there is someone who actually knows, everything about me and everything that's going to happen and whatnot. And also he knows what's best for me, and he's also in control of everything. And so it reminds me the Abhay Charanaravinda, the fearless lotus feet of the Lord. So by taking shelter, then we become fearless.
Would you care to elaborate a little bit more on what this means in every heart, especially in the heart of devotees?
guess my understanding is that Krishna takes a personal interest in the devotees, more so because...
Well, that means he would be partial.
Oh, okay. So he reciprocates accordingly. Ye yatamam prapadyante.
I'm just reflecting on what you said. I was thinking that means more or less, yes, reciprocating with the devotee according to the devotion, and therefore manifesting his presence. In other words, he's there in the hearts of everyone, but he's not manifested to everyone. So therefore, to most people, they're not even aware of it. They don't even... He's there, but they ignore him, so he ignores them. Not out of spite, just out of natural human dealings, Sentient beings deal with one another like that. If you come into a room, and as soon as you go into a room and there's another person in your room, your friend or anybody, and as soon as you enter the room, you turn your back and go into a corner and just stand there with your back to the, and then you kind of, oh, okay. Then you're not going to stand there and just try to have a relationship with someone who's turned their back to you and kind of ignoring you and choosing and wanting to do that. It's natural. Or another example that Prabhupada always used to use, and it was interesting how the Lord, isn't it? It was interesting how the Lord said, I know that actually what you want to do is see the enemies of your sons killed, and then when you think, well, that's not very equal-minded, but actually it isn't partiality, because just like a son or a mother or a father, if there's a group of children playing and there's some danger that comes, then naturally the mother or father will go for their son first. It's natural. Not that doesn't mean they don't like children in general, but it's natural. It's affection. It's a natural affection that comes from the relationship. So therefore, because there's a natural relationship there between the devotee and the Lord, and therefore that word was used, deserves, remember? According to what the person deserves, then the Lord reciprocates. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, first deserve, then desire. So that's, I think, what that means. That's what it means. In the hearts of everyone, but especially in the hearts of the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Question. All right.
Hare Krishna Bhakti Hannah. How's things over there in Florida?
His Holiness Keshavarti Maharaj Gurudev Ki Jai.
Oh my God. Do you have to do that? It's so embarrassing. Okay.
I really liked how today's reading emphasized worshiping the Lord very meditatively and meticulously, not mechanically. Whether that's reading the Bhagavatam, dressing the deities, or chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When one does it in this way, that is offenseless. Like he once told me, it is our devotion that really attracts the Lord and ourselves. I read today that Lord Chaitanya said that in order to enter into the pastimes of Vrindavan, one must read Shastra. I'm so grateful to have Srila Prabhupada's direct association and instruction in this way. This puts a real emphasis in my life, how truly important reading Srila Prabhupada's books are, and desire to share that with others, because it's so truly necessary, or it's so necessary for true devotional life. My deepest gratitude to you for instilling this within the hearts of everyone who lends their ears. My question for today: how are the senses automatically controlled when one renders unalloyed devotional service?
Very nice question. How are the senses automatically controlled when one renders pure devotional service? Well, it's because all the senses are engaged in Krishna. And Prabhupada said, because the mind is the center of the senses, if you are always thinking of Krishna, then your senses automatically engage in devotional service. To the degree that you're thinking of Krishna, to that degree your senses will be engaged in devotional service somehow or other. If we have some other reflections, Sarva, would you like to reflect on that also?
I've been pretty dull for the last couple of weeks.
Say that again?
I've been very dull. I haven't been able to focus very well. So
Oh. Am I embarrassing or pushing or something? Overbearing? We all have so much love and affection for you, and we all know that whatever comes out of your mouth is always profound. But don't feel pressured if you don't feel like it. It's up to you.
yeah, I'm just feeling some benefit being in the reading, although I'm not focused so nicely.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, please. Kalpaturu is going to give us a reflection.
Well, the other day at the temple, someone, like new person, asked what is the significance of 108 number. We do, here also Aditi did 108. So,
Well, there's 108. There's 108 Upanishads, first of all, which are the sections of the Vedas that discuss the difference between matter and spirit, and also discuss the transcendental position of the Lord. And there's also 108 principal gopis, who are the most intimate energies, servants of the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan. And I don't know if, do you know of any other, I think there's other, huh? 108 trillion. Maybe there's 108, well, he does chant, Krishna chants on his beads, which by the way are some kind of special Chintamani crystal gem, and he chants the names of his cows on the beads. That we know from Govinda Lamrita. But I don't know that that means that there's 108 cows. I mean, there's obviously more than 108 cows, but there's billions of gopis, and 108 of them are most close to Radharani and servants of Radharani, most dear servants of Radharani, or friends of Radharani. I don't know. You would have to ask some, highly esoteric authority on that question. But that much we know. There's 108 Upanishads and 108 principal gopis. When Prabhupada gave us the beads, first gave us the beads, the head bead, the one that's bigger and got a loop on it, or a tassel or whatever it is, that's Krishna, and the 108 principal gopis are surrounding Krishna. That's why when we chant, we go, toward Krishna, and then we don't then go backwards. We turn the beads and keep going in the same direction, so we're always going toward Krishna through the devotees of Krishna. So that's why we do that. That's why there are 108 beads in our Japamala.
8 also is special. 8 gopis.
Yes, very eight principle. Now the other thing is that, interestingly, in the Catholic Rosary, there's also 108. Or I'm not sure if there's 108 beads, but they chant, the way they count it is 108. I don't know the detail of that. Hope I didn't stick my tongue out too far. I'm pretty sure it is 108. You know. You must know.
No, because we didn't use.
You didn't use
just the
rosaries.
Jesus prayer.
I see.
Continue.
Rasika Shiromani was a Orthodox monk for many years. He's been celibate longer than many people have been alive. So we offer him special respects, as we should.
Rati Manjari has a question.
Okay, Rati.
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. From tonight's reading, I really liked how detailed the feeling Sukadev Goswami described the way Aditi felt when she saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How she stood up, stood still, felt overwhelmed by devotion, fell to the ground like a stick, and started to offer her prayers. It is so reassuring that in different places in the Bhagavatam, different personalities receive the favor of the Supreme Lord. When he appears, he always looks the same.
Yeah, well, that's, I would add to that a materialistic person might think, well, Aditi is asking for something material for the Lord, from the Lord, asking for protection for her sons and all of that. So how can she be, a pure devotee? But the fact is that she is. Otherwise she couldn't become the mother of God. So even though you may think materially something, it's not like that. Same thing with, Kardama and Devahuti. He had a material desire and the Lord knew it. And he was a great sage. He's not ordinary. He's one of the Kardama, Kashyapa. These devotees are, very special yogis, sages and prajapatis and very special personalities, live in higher planets, above the heavenly planets. I'm not sure which planet he lives on. It must be at least Janaloka, at least. Or maybe one of the stars that are close around to, the pole star. Wherever he lives, it's higher than the. It's in a place where, when the partial devastations happen, it's above that. It doesn't get destroyed until the end of the creation, until Brahma leaves these places. So. So even a pure devotee may look like a materialist to ordinary eyes. I heard this also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how sometimes a devotee may be a professional person or, but they may be always thinking of Krishna. You can't tell. It's very hard to understand the activities of a pure devotee, So, Swayambhuva Manu came, with Devahuti, and Vishnu had already approached Kardama after his austerities and told him, I know it's in your heart, I know you want a wife, and Swayambhuva Manu will come very soon, and he's got a marriageable age daughter, and he will fulfill all your desires. So that was, Vishnu directly giving that benediction, and it's a penitent desire for a wife and children. So we shouldn't think that these personalities in the Bhagavatam, especially those personalities, are. And I thought that connected with the idea that the Lord doesn't appear in the same way as just an ordinary, sexual relationship, and then the body's manufactured by the ingredients, the material ingredients in the mother's body. The Lord doesn't appear like that. He already is there in his original transcendental form.
and he appears at his own will. Ajopisan abhyayatma bhutanam ishwaropisan prakritim swamavishtaya sambhavam yatma mayaya. Out of his own will, out of his own desire, he takes a body tiny enough to be there, and then when he wants, it grows, just like Krishna when he came, as Vasudeva Krishna. He appeared directly from the womb, outside, not through the normal channel, but outside, full forearm form of Vishnu. And then, Vasudeva and Devaki were stunned, and then she asked him, please hide yourself, because Kamsa's going to come, and he may kill you. So, this is pure, absolute pure devotional service. Forgetting that no one can kill Krishna, but out of genuine concern as a mother for the son, please hide yourselves. And then he immediately did, being submissive to his mother. These things are very difficult to understand, but they all come out, in the pastimes and the relationships of the Lord and His devotees, pure devotees. That's why I'm just answering your question, Rati Manjari's question about how, Aditi immediately became so ecstatic seeing the Lord, and, these are ecstatic symptoms. Your hair is staying on end, and you become confused and fall down and don't know what to say, don't know what to do. Yudhishthira Maharaj, when Krishna came to assist him to do Rajasuya sacrifice, he became so flustered he didn't know what to do. He's a king of the world. He knows perfectly well what to do under all circumstances. But this is the symptom of actual ecstasy, that you sometimes just forget what to do when you are with Krishna, His holy name or His form or His pastimes. So these are the meanings of those verses that we chant every day before we read the Bhagavatam. Every syllable is, flood of prema is coming from every syllable of the Bhagavatam. But as Prana so nicely brought out, the Lord is there in the heart of everyone, but He manifests Himself to His pure devotees. So you can tell who's a pure devotee by how they act when Krishna is there. And so we aspire to be like that, and we aspire to serve the pure devotees. We see what they do, and when it's wonderful, then we want to serve them. We want to fall down and offer obeisances and serve them. And by that, Krishna is pleased, because Krishna is the devotee of his devotee. I was just hearing this morning in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when the devotees came to Puri to see Lord Chaitanya from Bengal, and then when it came time for them to leave in the first visit, they did many years they came. I don't remember how many years, but many years, at least 12 years. And so then when they were going back to Bengal, the first visit, he one by one started to glorify each one of them in front of all the other devotees. And his glorifications were just, understanding doesn't even approach how wonderful those and you can feel the devotion he has for his devotees. You can feel that he is a devotee of his devotees in his words and in his actions. Hare Krishna.
Rati left a side question.
Side question.
Small side question.
small side question.
I noted that Aditi fell down like a stick. I heard that in the beginning of ISKCON, the ladies would also offer dandavats, obeisances, but later they were told to offer them by bowing down.
A couple of them still do.
Could you elaborate a little on why this was changed and how bad, quote unquote, it is? Is it when a lady sometimes offers obeisances like a stick? Is it very inappropriate?
When you are lusty and things go on that are not appropriate, or even if they are appropriate, when Krishna was playing with his wives in the water, and the water would stick to their clothes and you could see their bodies through the clothes practically. Those who were lusty, or those who were material, they became agitated. So therefore, Prabhupada, this is an ecstatic symptom. Aditi's showing an ecstatic symptom. But that's not something that we do. Imitation. The rule is that the lady does not fall flat like that in front of men, because we have a very chaste lady here, Kalpataru. She can explain this to us. Yes, you are the authority.
Well, you explain nicely that it doesn't feel appropriate. Just
why doesn't it feel appropriate from the woman's point of view? The woman doesn't like to have men look at her.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, we want to be as discreet as we can.
Yeah. Shy.
Yeah.
Shyness. Woman is shy. And if you go in front of all the Vaishnavas, and there are a couple of women I know that still do that to this day, in our movement, and you just feel, you kind of cringe, oops, that's not right, Lord Chaitanya's feminine devotees, of course he's a sannyasi, but still he had great female devotees, great souls, that were very dear to him and he was dear to them, but they would not come close, they would not come too close, and definitely there was never, in the same room alone, never. It's not a discrimination against women, it's natural. It's natural, and if a woman acts according to that natural way, then she feels comfortable and feels it's easier for her to exhibit love for Krishna and behave properly. And now in the Kali Yuga, now in the West especially, and now even in India, it's going these laws of nature. These are the laws of nature. They're built into the laws of nature, and people break the laws of nature, and then the nature, responds and causes chaos and confusion all over the world, on all levels, environmentally, socially, politically, economically, medically. It's all just becoming so confused. But when everyone in the human society, men and women, and all the divisions of society, were actually acting according to the laws of nature, then it was so ordered and so peaceful and so nice that, and the king, the administrative head, was actually responsible for whatever went on in his kingdom. If somebody, like when Arjuna, remember the Brahmana came to Ugrasena and complained because the child left before him, baby left, and it's not natural. It's natural for the father to for the baby to outlive the son. These are all laws of nature. That's why the importance of having sons and having personalities that can offer pinda or shraddha to you when you leave your body, so that they can help you in case there's some trouble when you leave your body, which can always happen. There's always accidents on all levels. You know, these are all principles of spiritual culture, devotional culture. So that's why. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is it right?
Also, the main thing is in your heart, right? If feelings in your heart, by imitating men, I don't know how it will help more.
Yeah. It causes confusion in society, and the evidence is so clear now. But the problem is that when you're, like we were saying, how Krishna is there in the heart of everyone, but he's not manifest to everyone. And when they don't follow his desire and they don't follow the laws of nature which he created, then everything becomes confusing. Everything becomes unclear, agitated. It's hard to think of Krishna. It's hard to accept the clear thing. The obvious thing, that there must be some intelligence behind the extremely organized, universe. So all these things are a part of that. And when a person becomes fully Krishna conscious, they want to follow the rules by like you were saying. By nature, spontaneously, they know what to do in the spiritual world. So if you hear what's going on in the spiritual world, and you hear how everybody acts in their different roles, it's not that in the spiritual world anything goes. The speculators, they think, oh, here in this world there's so many rules and this and that. In the material world, in the spiritual world, anything must go, and therefore they try to recreate that by their, philosophies and their different, cultural experiments. But it's not working. But when you read the pastimes of the Lord and read these incidents and events going on in the higher planetary systems when the Vedic culture was fully intact, then they say, must be mythology. That could never have happened. People couldn't act like that. They're breaking the law. I mean, Prabhupada used to say, somebody's in a prison house, and then he's got his metal cup, and he's racking the metal cup across the bars, and in protest for the facilities. Yes, Prana.
Would you say that the refinement of culture then produces like a greater level of rasa, of taste? Because I'm thinking of the whole scenario in Goloka Vrindavan, because of the Vedic culture, the interactions are tasty. Or I'm thinking Krishna and the gopis, because not anything goes. So then going out at night to dance with Krishna is tastier because of the rules and regulations, actually. But if
that's different. That's the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, you don't need rules and regulations in the spiritual world. Everyone knows what to do, and every activity is motivated by love of Krishna. Everybody in the spiritual world is serving Krishna. Even the relatives of the gopis who try to stop the gopis from going to Krishna are participating in Krishna's Leela to make that meeting more ecstatic. Everything in the spiritual world is done out of love for Krishna. So, yes, but from the point that you originally made, the spiritual culture, the Vedic culture, or the Varnashram system, it creates an atmosphere which promotes or facilitates the potential for those feelings to be. It's not that everyone that's in the Vedic culture has those kind of rasas. Of course Kamsa, Jarasandha, and all these characters, there is some kind of ghastly rasa that Krishna enjoys, I guess, when he sees these characters dealt with. But it's not that it's not that those activities in the materialistic culture are necessarily, material world rather, or promoting those rasas as they are in the spiritual world. But it does produce, it promotes the regulation, it promotes the purification, it promotes, eventually it will, it promotes the potential for feeling one's relationship with Krishna. Because it definitely, as we were saying before, when Swayambhuva Manu meets Kardama, he's the original Kshatriya. He's the original king, the original minister of the universe. And Kardama is one of the great sages, Prajapatis, close to, he says his grandfather is Brahma, so he's very close to the, to the source. And what the Bhagavatam is meant to do is to teach us carefully, listen carefully, and how they treat one another, how the Kshatriyas respected the Brahmanas, how the Brahmanas enraged respected the Kshatriyas. There was a cooperative relationship. They're not competing with one another, trying to dominate the other. They're all trying to protect, especially the Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas, they're all trying to protect the principles of religion, to maintain the principles of religion. But the Kshatriyas do it by the force of their, arms and the force of their, and the Brahmanas do it by the force of their words and their intellect and spiritual knowledge. So it's all systematically meant to, work together in order to promote an atmosphere that will promote or allow the consciousness of Krishna consciousness to come out. We have
Vijaya Lakshmi left out.
Hare Krishna Vijay Lakshmi, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nice to hear from you again. We'll wait for the conch shell of Maya to go by. We have this train that goes by 6 times a day. We call it the conch shell of Maya, calling us to go and enjoy the oil that they're, training back and forth from one place to another. Okay.
All right. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Pamhole in India, the need for a son is so great that it is encouraging female feticide. To have a son is a social pressure here.
Yes.
So it is difficult to understand this law of nature of having a son to perform certain difficult duties.
Well, where does the son come from? The son comes from the womb of the mother, female. So those persons who are doing that are the worst persons in the world. They're the most sinful persons in the world. And that's why the caste system, as it's done now in India, is a perversion. It's a distortion of the original system. It would never, ever happen in the actual Vedic culture. So we shouldn't think that is, a reflection of what's meant to be, or it's part of the Vedic culture. It's just the opposite. It's a symptom of the degradation of the Vedic culture. The women in the Vedic culture are respected most. Mother is the most sacred. Mother, Guru, Father, these are most, it says in the Gita, the austerity of the body is to worship the Lord and worship the superiors, like the mother and the father. So yes, in the laws of nature, the sons get the inherit the property, but the ladies, when the daughters, when they're given, there's a dowry, and it's a huge dowry. Now it's all business, and they get their sons and daughters married, and they pressure the people. You have to give us this much. There's no love at all. It's just all business. It's all, and all of that, and that phenomenon of killing the female child within the womb, when they find out about it, this is the heinous activity. Heinous. We should never even think that this has anything to do with the Vedic culture. Yes, Rasika Shirmani, I've been waiting for you to chime in and give us your wisdom.
I was appreciating going back as the reflections were happening, going back through the verses and reading how Kashyapa Muni was instructing Aditi in this culture of respect, and how to respect the Lord and to respect the spiritual master and the priests that serve the spiritual master and the everyone in the community, down to the husband,
yes.
Even down to the one who is a dog eater.
Yes.
Everybody was to be respected,
yes.
And this culture of respect is that's the thing that seems to be missing so much, is just we respect ourselves so much, but we don't offer respect.
Yes.
To those that are around us. We want respect. We want respect. It's exactly the opposite of what Lord Chaitanya taught us in the Shikshastakam. But I was just really appreciating that aspect of the reading, that how important it is. And it seems like the caste system has, what's so abominable about it is it has ceased to be a culture of respect. It's become...
Yeah, because the Vedas and the Acharyas, they compare the social divisions to the divisions of the body. The Brahmanas being the head, the Kshatras being the arms, the Vaishyas being like the belly, and the Shudras being the legs. And all those parts are necessary for a human body to function properly. If your toe's giving you a big problem, it's hurting like anything, you'll spend just as much money, to deal with that as you do, a headache or, whatever. But of course, there's also it's a fact that you can lose your toe and you can still be living, but if you lose your head, then you're finished. So unless there are true brahmanas in the head of society explaining these things and acting properly and guiding those who administer, then it won't. They're supposed to cooperate together. All the senses, they cooperate together to put the food in the mouth and go to the stomach, and then it all becomes nourished. But if they start competing with one another, then it's chaos. And that's what's happening now. Everyone's trying to compete. Everyone's trying to dominate.
So the social body begins to die.
And it begins to die, that's right. The social body dies. Exactly. Out of displeasure, out of the, the Lord's displeasure. So yeah, there's this one purport. This is going to be my last comment because it's already 8:15. Anyway, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Let me not complain. Thank you. 2:48, is it? Yogastha kuru karmani sannam tyaktva kadotiya. Yes. Got something right. Yogastha kuru 2:48, Bhagavad Gita. Perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. Then in the last paragraph of this purport, Prabhupada says, Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and as such, he is participating in the Varnashram Dharma institution. It is said in the Vishnu Purana that in the Varnashram Dharma, the whole aim is to satisfy Vishnu, to your point. No one should satisfy himself, as is the rule in the material world. But one should satisfy Krishna. So unless one satisfies Krishna, one cannot correctly observe the principles of Varnashram Dharma. Okay, and with that, we're going to reluctantly leave Aditi and Kashyapa and move on. Thank you very much, everyone out there. Thank you, everyone, for your comments from cyberspace. And we hope that the discussion helped us go forward in our spiritual understanding, elevation of consciousness, satisfy Krishna, satisfy Srila Prabhupada, and all the Vaishnavas. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. See you same time, same station tomorrow here in the live studios on Radha Lane. Hare Krishna.